Welcome back, everyone. This is the Thanks for Rolling podcast. I'm Pat. I'm here with Jeff, and we're going to do our year-end recap. What's up, Jeff?
How's it going?
It's going good. It's been a while.
It has been a while. We were just trying to figure out when the last time we actually recorded was. We know who it was, but I think that was the last. We're not sure exactly what time it was, so we feel a little rusty.
Yeah,
for what that's worth.
Holiday season got busy. Lots of sick people. Everyone's been sick.
Everybody, dude. It's ridiculous.
Classes have been tiny. I feel like for at least the last month because just people are always sick.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Everybody that I know has been sick. Everybody, like with the same kind of thing. So, like, just stay away from me, please. Perfectly fine if you.
Hopefully, we're getting past all of it.
Yeah. So this is due for us, right? We didn't do a year in review last year.
No, I don't think so. We might have talked about some things, but we definitely didn't do anything official.
Yeah. Do you have a format you want to hit?
I don't have a format. I have some notes jotted down here. I have some bullet points for the 2022 recap, and then a few preview items we're looking at as we get into 2023.
So our 22 started off with a bang, right? So mid-January, we had our first commentary gig for RCS Promotions.
Yeah, we had that. We had a big lead up to that too. We had those guys out here a couple of times. We did a podcast. They shot some video out here, some promos, and then we did the commentary for the event, which I thought was a blast. Yeah,
that was awesome. I was just saying to Pat recently that I wanted to do that again. Like, I could definitely get behind doing some of that again. Yeah,
I had so much fun doing that. It felt like pure chaos at the moment. It's like we were running around with our hair on fire, lack of hair on fire. But in hindsight, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would definitely like to do that again. I wish those guys were kicking around. I want to talk a little bit about that as we get into 2023. Some ideas that are kind of floating around in that regard. So we'll put it out there for the masses. To
so that was the big 2022 kickoff. We basically packed up everything we have here in the studio.
Yeah,
set it up at their event, commentated everything, got to have front row seats to some sick matches.
Yep.
So that was a blast. And then as we worked through the year, it was early March. We had John out here for his seminar, and we did a big group of promotions that day.
Yeah. I feel like that was, there were like a lot of months like leading up to that day. Like everybody was like, who's getting promoted? Is Pat getting promoted? What's going on? Who's coming? Was John going to do it?
Because we planned that a while. I think we started planning that maybe in December. So that was we had like 3 months leading up to that.
Yeah.
Which is what it usually takes to plan out a good seminar these days to make sure everyone's signing up and getting committed to it.
Yeah. That was our most popular podcast of the year too. So
was it?
Before we sat down with John for what? I don't know, 2 hours maybe? We were sat down for quite some time. And he told his story, and we just talked jiu-jitsu and then hung out and talked
that was
music
amazing.
And that was great.
I meant to look up some episode stats before today to kind of see what the peaks and valleys were, but I had a feeling he was still the top episode.
Yeah, it was pretty popular. I mean, the guy's got a big name, right? So
yeah, I mean, he's got his own academy and following too, so that helps compound the viewership.
Right. Let's see if I can find it while we're talking here.
So that was March. Promoted a bunch of blue belts and purple belts, including you.
Including me, yes, thank you.
What did we do after that? I feel like we had a pretty quiet rest of the spring into the summer.
Well, PJ was at the end of the year last year.
PJ was November the previous year.
Yeah.
We competed at WCG. That was Memorial Day timeframe, I think. I forget if that was May or June. We had a few guys on that card, so we had a big lead up to that. And then summertime here, things we usually have a bit of a dip as we get into early summertime because everyone's coming out of winter hibernation and outdoor activities and all that stuff. So people get distracted with other fun stuff going on. We had Corey Guitard out here for a seminar during the summer. It was before he was moving out to moving from Montreal out to Calgary. I guess I have a list of the seminars here too. Rewinding back to the RCS time frame, we had Chris Shigoli here for a seminar. The night before RCS, he was the main event against Mason Fowler.
Newly promoted to black belt, Chris Shigoli.
Brand new black belt,
Chris
Shigoli. Father of the adult slayer, who's, I mean, we were singing the praises of Pat Shigoli over a year ago when we first sat with him at Enigma.
That's right.
And I mean, he's just exploded in, I don't know if it's popularity. He's got a lot of haters out
on
there.
Both sides, yeah. That was funny because when I think back about that, I'm like, I don't know. I had seen both Pat and Chris's name on things before. I didn't know like who they were. And I first thought, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh wait, did they screw that up? Or there are literally two Shigolis on the card, right? But it was great to meet those guys. I remember we walked away from talking to Pat being like, oh man, this kid's got his shit together. Like, all right.
Yeah, we should do one of those linked to the episodes when we talked to both of them when they were at Enigma. So it's super cool that we've gotten to closely follow their journey, and I think they're only going to keep going up from here.
Yeah.
Super cool seeing a teenager like Pat just garner all of this attention, you know, and rightfully so. Like he's got the skill set to back it up. So
yeah, it's cool to see him on big shows. At that recent UFC or Fight Pass Invitational, I remember I looked at the card and I sent it to Pat immediately, and I was like, holy shit, is this real? Like Pat, Mason Fowler, like Hassan Rita, like all these big names, right? I mean, Andy Varela and Nicky Rod. I was like, holy crap, like that's big time. Those are big time names in the sport for him to be.
Yeah, that's super cool. Really happy for him.
Yeah, very, very cool. Very cool. I had one and I lost it.
Yeah, I guess if more recent highlights for me, back in November, I drove up to 10th Planet Rochester with Jameson and Nate. We went to the Eddie Bravo seminar up there. I know for Nate, it was definitely his first seminar with Eddie. I think it was for Jameson as well. So it was really cool for me to get to bring those guys up there and have that experience.
How many? I don't think we really talked about it much at all. How many people were there? Was it packed?
I think it was 110.
Damn. Mm-hmm. They have a big mat space?
It's similar to ours.
Oh, okay.
Like it's big, but 110 people is crowded.
Yeah.
And then they had like a couple of auxiliary smaller mat spaces set off to the side to spread out on.
What was his focus?
So the focus ended up being homie control, which was great. Obviously, it was an amazing seminar. And then he gets to the end and says, this wasn't my plan at all. I think he planned on teaching something from the truck. And he's like, I just got off on this tangent and been working a lot of homie control. So we just ran with it.
I guess that's what happens when you're a master, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like you plan on what your 3-hour seminar is going to be, and just on the spot as you get into it, you just decide to go somewhere else.
It's great.
And just teach a whole seminar like it's nothing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool. We skipped over some other matches that happened, though. Your own preparation.
Yeah. What episode? I should have looked up episode numbers.
No, we'll put them up here. You can tell we've
talked about a lot of this
highly
stuff.
prepared for this, but we will put those things up top. For
I competed at WCG whenever that event was, Memorial Day time frame.
Yeah.
Had plans to kind of stay ready and jump right back into something, but just combination of nothing enticing jumped out at me, and then just getting carried away, busy with business, life, everything. But that's on my list of 2023 things to have on the list of goals.
I don't know about you, but for me, once the summer wraps up and it starts to turn to fall, like I wouldn't say my mentality changes, right? But my focus starts to go into other things, right? You start thinking about, school year starting, right? Weather's getting cold.
Yeah, time just flies by too.
Wrapping up the house. Yeah, I mean, it's like, so it's wintertime. So
yeah, we burn a lot of firewood. So fall time for me, it's like every free minute is cutting, splitting, moving, stacking.
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
Yep. Great time.
One of the things I wanted to mention too was that you made some slight changes to class here, right? And started doing a more competition focused class. And just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So we added the Friday night comp class specifically, and it's it fits a little bit more. Yeah, I guess it's a piece in a bigger shift I've made towards splitting the beginners classes from the advanced classes. And this is something that Eddie's preaching all the time. So it's nothing I made up completely on my own, but it's trying to put a focus on what the beginners need to start learning everything about jiu-jitsu, and then also putting a focus on what the more advanced guys need to keep furthering their jiu-jitsu, and especially the guys that want to compete. It just seems like you can't, maybe you can, it just seems difficult to get everything that everybody needs all in one class format. So we've made a strong split between fundamentals class and advanced class. Fundamentals class is where we teach all of our curriculum for the most part. I tell people fundamentals class is the learning class, advanced class is the training class. And I've had a lot of good feedback on it. I think people dig it across the board. I think the beginners appreciate having a beginner focused class. And I think the more advanced students appreciate having a class where they can walk in and
get to work.
Just get to work.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
And then we added a Friday night comp class where it's just, no nonsense. We get it. Nothing's taught. Very minimal instruction at all. I switch up the format. I switch it up a little bit every week, but it's kind of like just a set timer of drills for everyone I'll call out, 5 minutes of mount escapes, 5 minutes of side control escapes, whatever. And it's expected that everyone just practices their go-to techniques from whatever the scenario is. Yeah. And then we'll get some live action later in the night, but try to keep it structured enough that people aren't just rolling and doing whatever, but also giving the freedom to work on their specialty rather than forcing them to practice what I tell them to.
Yep. That's good to know about the beginners class. Like, even since it's only been a couple weeks at this point, I always wonder how much more or less those guys need. Mm-hmm. So it's good to hear there.
Yeah, I think it's been good feedback across the board. My vision is if you take a brand new person and they only attend fundamentals class, they should be able to learn essentially everything they need to know to get to blue belt within a reasonable amount of time.
When you think about, I know we're a little bit off topic, when you think about a white belt going to blue belt in this particular system, do you expect that they have specific 10th planet knowledge to get to blue belt? I've seen, obviously, we've seen promotions happen all different ways. Some are off the ceiling, right? Some are you have to know this set of moves competently. How do you think about that?
I've never been one to, lay out a list of techniques or do an exam or anything like that. But the main points for me are to start understanding the overall strategy of having an overall strategy of what they're trying to accomplish, have some decent level of competency in all of the major positions. But yeah, I do like to see a good understanding of a lot of the 10th planet specific stuff. Obviously, everyone's not going to be a rubber guard assassin. And even that's not your game. At least if we teach it enough, you at least need to know. You need to understand it. You should be able to
get into position.
Yeah, you should be able to regurgitate it with a good understanding to other people, even if that's not what you're using all the time. You should be able to get in the positions and show your way through it.
Yep. So there you go. Now we gave everybody the secrets for 2023.
Yeah, I mean, going forward, this is something we've been talking about offline for a while. Is I've worked up the current rotation of curriculum we're working on. For me, I've kind of marked some spots throughout there where in my mind, that's if to be getting up to blue belt, you need to have steps A, B, C, and D, and maybe E, F, G, and H and beyond, or that's more advanced. But if you can get up to that cutoff point, that's kind of what I'm looking at for blue belts. And it's not going to be an exact thing. It doesn't mean if you come in 3 months and you quickly figure out all this stuff, you're going to get your blue belt, but that's a good mold to be working from.
Yeah, it's good to know.
I think it makes it easier for instructors and students alike to be on the same page with the expectations, not have it be such a big secret.
Yeah. When Ryan was filling in last night, he asked me, like, have you been teaching the warm-ups? And I said, yes, but Pat has like a modified curriculum, and I've been focusing on not necessarily even like the whole flow, but like if the flow calls for a body lock, like these guys should know how to do a body lock, let alone how to go from body lock to end up in flat mode, right? Like they don't even know what that is, let alone how to get from one to the other. So I don't know what he taught last night, but that was kind of my thought process and talking to him about it.
You know, sometimes step 3 of the flow, you look around the room and you're like, all right, none of these guys know this important piece at all. So instead of teaching the entire flow tonight, we're just going to work on this one step that everyone seems to need some work on.
Yeah, that's been my plan. So
I look at the curriculum as the guiding principles. Long term, we want to get everyone through them, but if needed, you know, kind of pick and choose what to work on. It makes it a lot easier to game plan for a class too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you've had a busy day and you're like, oh shit, I haven't had a chance to plan a class, you just go and look to the paper and like, all right, we're going to teach A, B, and C.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely nice to not have to figure it out off the top of your head when you're going into that class.
Yeah. And it's more or less the same concept as Eddie's 10th Planet warm-ups. I've modified to make sure that it can be comprehensive enough for all of our beginners. Because every school you go to, there's going to be different schedule, different class types. So I've tried to individualize it. So in my mind, again, going back to that person that only comes to fundamentals class, are they getting everything that they need? So I've kind of weeded out some of the more advanced stuff and make sure we put in, 3 or 4 mount escapes that we're hitting all the time. Close guard work, half guard work.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Sorry,
and obviously long term, we keep talking about we're going to get it all filmed and push it out to the member app, but it's all so much more time consuming than people think.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that today when I was packing up the camera equipment. We could probably start doing even like one letter of one week. You know what I mean? Like the first C. We'll do that, like those first 4 moves or whatever it is.
Yeah, I just need to get in the mindset to make sure I'm good to go, so I'm not wasting time and on camera working through it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's our first 2023 preview.
Right.
We'll
have a running list of things that we're going to expect to see.
Yeah, we actually have a member app. It's just sitting there empty right now, but big picture is to fill it with adult and kids class curriculum that's exclusive just for our students, so they can go on and get all of that beginner knowledge that they need.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
I think it's a lot of good value for the academy.
Yeah.
Just need to get off my butt and do it.
Yep. Oh, I know when I look at something, I'm like, shit, what's that called again? Right? And like, and if you guys pay attention at all, like all the 10th Planet maneuvers have a name that may or may not have anything to do with what you're actually doing physically, but I have to look up all the time. Like, what was that thing? Like, I know this move. Like, what is it called? So it's probably embarrassing to say, but it's true.
Yeah. So it's important for everyone to be learning that. It really streamlines the teaching and the coaching process when we're all speaking the same language.
Yeah, I know it was super helpful to me when you first were teaching rubber guard and being like, okay, this is New York, this is New Jersey, this is zombie, like all these things where I'm like, for whatever reason, those things just clicked for me right away, like just understanding exactly where I needed to be, as opposed to saying like, oh, I need to have my overhook here. I'm like, oh no, just go to New York, so that makes it so much easier. Anyway, big event in September that we went to, right?
Yeah, we went out to ADCC in Vegas in September, had a blast.
So that was another one that had a big, long build-up, right? Because I forget, when did tickets went on sale?
Black Friday.
So it was a long time, like almost
10
a
months,
year.
yeah.
And, a lot of build-up. Great show. We did our breakdown, another episode that we'll put up here for everybody to go back and listen to. That was a lot of fun. We had some hot takes afterwards.
Now it's some time to sit on it. How are you feeling on your hot take of not wanting to go again?
Yeah. That's funny. I was thinking about that on the way over because most recently when I watched Mo's live stream on Instagram, he was talking about essentially the same things that we had been critical of, right? Like, let's move the Hall of Fame ceremony to Friday so it doesn't take a long a day on Sunday. Let's get more mats going for this or that.
Yep.
So he was saying, I don't want a 14-hour day on Sunday, which is the same thing I was saying. Like, it's just too freaking long.
Literally nobody does.
Yeah. You fix that. You fix the open seating crap, right? Like, all that stuff that made it like a headache. And I'm more willing to go, right? I don't want to have to deal with the other headache stuff of it, right? I don't want to sit in the seats for 14 hours a day either.
Right.
So,
yeah, shorten the days, assigned seating for sure. Like, tickets were not cheap. So you pay that kind of money. You're like, I don't need to guard my seat and hold security all day.
Right. Can I get up if my buddy has gotten up because I want to go get a beer? And like, I can't because someone will just take my
Like, what
seat.
if you go alone?
Right. You're screwed.
Yeah, you're just going to have to stand up at the top and watch all day because everywhere you go, everyone's going to tell you the seats are taken.
Right. So I'm not worried about the jiu-jitsu part of it. Like, I know the matches will be great. Mo was even talking about adding a couple women's divisions or changing up the women's division. So you have 3 divisions there, which would be awesome. So I'm not worried about the jiu-jitsu part of it. That part's great. Or like, whoever we go with. It's just like the logistics of the show that if they make some changes, I'd be down.
Yeah, it sounds like he's definitely heard the criticism.
Yeah.
He's going to make the changes, so that's cool.
Yeah. So that was probably the highlight of the fall, right? I mean, well, that's not totally true, not for you personally, at least. That was the highlight for everybody else. We had the other big event come up that was August, I guess, right? So we're jumping around time frame wise. We had John back out.
Yeah.
For the great belt
surprise
caper.
black belt promotion in August.
So again, another episode that we will put up here. Great job by Kate pulling off the caper.
Heist of the century.
So congratulations to you. That kind of closed the loop on everybody's promotions for the year. It felt good. Felt right.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't done any since then. Got a few guys getting close here soon.
Did Bartlett get done after
I think he was before that.
Before that? Okay.
Yeah. I think he was somewhere in between you guys and mine in the summer.
Yep. So that was any other big topics you want to hit on for 22?
I don't think any big topics. I think just overall in general, we've talked a lot on this show about the culture that we like to keep at the academy, and I think we're in a really good place with it right now. The last, I'd say, year and a half or so, I've had a little bit of a mental shift on getting away from just the focus on big growth and
meaning numbers of students, that kind of thing. Yep.
And getting more content with slower, smaller growth, but making sure we're keeping the culture that we like to keep here. We've made some sacrifices in the past in the sake of growth and needing. Obviously, it's a business. We have to make money and pay bills, but I think we're at a good, happy place right now with. We have a big enough customer base to not worry about all that stuff, but we're not so big that we're losing grasp of what we like the culture to be.
Yeah. I'll tell you one of my big observations it's probably been more apparent to me over the last second half of the year, I guess, was the growth of the kids program. I remember looking over one day and being like, holy shit, there's like 25 kids here. Like, when did that happen?
I know.
Right? Like all of a sudden, boom, tons of kids.
Kids class is always up and down like that. We'll go through spells where there's like basically the coach's kids and that's it. And then, like you said, you blink and there's 25 kids there. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's like all of a sudden to me, it was just like night and day.
Yeah. We're finally, I feel like we're breaking into the local market with the kids in the past year. I think prior to that, we had the kids we brought with us from the old academy in Springfield, but now the majority of the kids are all like Agawam, West Springfield families.
Yeah, that's awesome. They can start spreading the word to kids in school.
Yeah, just make it more community based.
Yeah. I think the culture thing is such a huge factor. It's really hard to put your finger on, like to say what's good, what's bad, right? You don't want anybody who's being an asshole to people coming in, right? But it's hard to figure out like what the formula is to make that work for everybody, right? It just kind of, in my mind, some of that happens organically because like you start to weed out the guy who's like goes too hard and nobody wants to roll with him, right? Just doesn't show up anymore, or the guy who talks shit online, right? Like that kind of thing. They just kind of weed their way out. I think that's probably the best way for gyms to work, right? They kind of like self-police the bullshit, right? And at least that's the way I've seen it happen in other places too.
Yeah, it can't just all come from one person. Obviously, the standard gets set from the top down, but like I can't be out there single-handedly policing all of it.
Yeah.
Someone was telling me recently that there was a member that hadn't been around for a couple of months, and then he showed back up, and he was like legitimately blown away that everyone just like greeted him and was excited to see him and asking him how he was doing and all that stuff. And for most of us, it's just like, yeah, obviously, like you see your training partner that you like being around,
right?
And he's been gone for a few months.
Right.
You're happy to see him,
right?
Well, might give him a little bit of shit for where he's been and what he's doing, but
yeah. It depends on who it is, right? Yeah. There are definitely people that I reintroduce myself to, even though I know they know me and I know them, right? Yeah. Just to bust chops. But there are other people who I know, like when you see them, it's like, oh yeah, he's back. All right, where you been, right? That kind of thing. So
yeah, I'm really happy where things are at right now. We've, over the past year, we unfortunately lost a few, I think, really good training partners and friends just due to life circumstances, moving and whatnot. But I think we've also picked up a handful of good additions lately too that might not completely fill their shoes, but definitely keeping us where we like to keep the vibe going.
You need people that love it, right? Mm-hmm. Like you need people that love it, like to just want to be here, want to be training, and just want to be talking about it. And, that becomes infectious to people, I think, right? Or especially when you get like a new guy like Ryan who comes in, who's just like, you can see it. Like when he first started, I remember what it was like, right? When you're like, shit, all I'm thinking about is jujitsu. I'm spending all my time looking up things. I'm reading this book. I'm looking at this. I'm talking to people. I'm watching this. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know what that is now. You can see it in him, right? And
he can't get enough.
250 classes later, right? Like, but yeah, you could just, like, you need guys like that who are just going to be like, I'm in it. Like, this is for me. So,
yeah, I legitimately enjoy being around every single member that we have right now.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. It's great.
Sure, more money could be made by just trying to pack everybody in that we can and advertising like crazy. But in my short experience in this business, that often leads to some bad apples that, luckily, like you said, they often get tumbled out on their own, but sometimes it's just something to have to deal with. And it's a distraction to all of the other good customers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because you can notice for a while, it's like, all right, I haven't heard any drama from anybody in like several weeks, right? I'll knock on wood here, but like, I'm not saying that that's been us for several weeks, but like in general, like, oh, if there's no drama going on, everybody must be doing really well.
Yeah.
Right? Because every time you put people together, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, just so many personalities, and we're simulating fighting every night. So
Right.
Stuff happens.
All right, anything else, 22?
I think that's a solid 22 recap.
All right, where do you want to go with 23? What's the first hot topic on your list?
So 2023, just today, right before I came here, I spent some time putting together a Jiu-Jitsu 101 course. So this is something we did, I was about to say a couple of years ago, but it was at the old academy. I think the last time I did this was 2018. Called it Jiu-Jitsu 101. Basically just a crash course for brand new people to come experience a little bit of what jiu-jitsu is all about. Focused just for the pure beginner. Like if you're someone that's got a little bit of experience, you've taken a few classes, you're probably going to be bored with it. You're better off just scheduling your free trial and coming in. But if you're curious about what jiu-jitsu is all about, if your friends are always talking about it and you just don't understand and want to see for yourself, this is the class for it. I just scheduled it for Saturday, January 14th. We're just going to do an hour, noon to 1 o'clock, and just focus on kind of the very basics of jiu-jitsu, some of the, the self-body movements, shrimps, technical stand-ups, that kind of stuff. Maybe cover all of the major positions so everyone gets an understanding: guard, mount, side control, back mount, and then maybe let them mess around with a couple of simple submissions. Usually we'll, show everyone a rear naked choke and an arm bar or a triangle just to kind of feel the power that you have with the technique.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So we're going to be pushing out a lot of advertising on that right away. That's just a couple of weeks away. So there's a link to sign up for it. I was back and forth on whether I should make it free, put a cost to it. I found in the past, you make stuff for free, you'll get a boatload of people that will sign up for it and then not follow through because, there's no skin in the game.
Yep. Yeah, if they miss it, it's not a big deal. No investment.
Yeah. So I just threw a $20 price tag on it, and you'll get a free T-shirt when you come in. So basically, you're buying a T-shirt, and you're gonna get an hour of jiu-jitsu introduction for free, and then we'll run some kind of membership discount for anyone that signs up that day. So hopefully, people are into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I saw your message today. I was looking forward to kind of talking to you about it and then get into debate.
I know we've been talking about
that out to people.
We've been talking about it for almost a year.
Yeah.
To get ready for this, and again, time flew by, but
yeah,
luckily had a couple hours at the computer today to throw it together.
That'll be great. I think there's like what do you call it? Like cost to entry, maybe, or for jiu-jitsu, and I know me personally, it was like you don't know what to expect when you walk in to take your first class. If you've never done it before, you don't know what the people are going to be like, let alone what the actual movements and whatnot are going to be like. So to have like an opportunity like that where you can come in and get like very specific, ultra basic like coaching.
And every single other person there is going to be
knows nothing
in the same situation as you.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be the standout that walks in and knows nothing, and everyone else is just doing the thing. Like everyone is going to be brand new. We're going to try to have as many friendly faces as we can have there, helping everybody. So it'll be really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be really good. I'm hoping to turn some people on to something that we're all obviously so passionate about.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'm pushing out a lot of advertising on it, but really the best promotion for this is the word of mouth of everyone around here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, it's amazing for any of you that have friends that are sick of hearing you talk about jiu-jitsu and not understanding. Get them to this class. They'll get a crash course for an hour. Whether they sign up or not, doesn't matter. They'll at least walk away with a better understanding.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So January 14th, noon to 1?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, it'll be right here in the academy.
All right. Well, obviously, we'll put some links to the information on the podcast and obviously across the socials.
Yeah. And then following that up, we had just started putting the planning together for our next quintet team challenge.
Yeah, it's back.
Yeah, so we've talked a bunch about that too on this show. We've had a lot of guests that either participated in it or they had coached people, came to watch, and rave reviews all the time about it.
Yeah.
Finally putting it back together.
So that was February 19th? February of 20.
Yep. It's like 3 weeks before COVID explosion.
We had only been in this gym for a couple months at that point, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was an awesome time. A gazillion people in here.
Yeah.
Great jiu-jitsu, great energy. It was time to bring it back.
Yeah, so I've been kind of putting out some general information, gathering a list of all the interested teams. I don't have a date nailed down yet, but I'm looking at probably the first week of March. Yeah, it's going to be quintet format again. So 5 people per team, 8 teams, run them through a bracket.
The team has to make a weight limit.
Yeah, I think we're going to do 875 pounds for the entire team. Last time we did 850. I think I'm going to bump it up to 875 this time to give guys that are a little bit bigger a chance to get in. At that weight limit, it's still hard to have someone that's too big.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to have a guy that's 250, then the rest of your team's going to be like flyweights.
Yeah, right.
So that's part of the fun of being a coach and planning a team for something like this.
Yep.
You might not be able to put all of your best guys in it just because of how the weights shake out.
Blue and purple belts, right?
Yep. Purple belt max. I mean, if you have white belts you want to throw in there, that's cool too.
Very cool. So local teams, ideally, right?
Yeah, the original vision for it, I called it the Springfield 5-on-5 challenge the last time. Obviously we had teams come from a little bit farther away, but my goal is to keep it as local as possible. Just some good friendly competition of all the Springfield area teams, and then if we can't fill 8 spots with Springfield teams, and we'll work our way out from there. But yeah, we're not it's not about bringing in a ringer team from out of state just because there's competition and a little bit of money on the line. It's I really want to highlight and showcase Springfield Jiu-Jitsu.
Awesome. Yeah, that's as soon as you put the message out, we have like a message board, and the whole team was like, yes, like please do that.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah. That was really cool. Was
yeah,
really cool
so hopefully by the next time we record, we'll have all those details nailed down and get that info out. But definitely look forward to that. Even if you don't have a team in it, highly recommend coming out to watch. The format just is exciting by nature.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
And we'll just charge like $10 at the door again for spectators. It's not going to be anything crazy like all these $60 to $80 entry fees like a lot of shows are charging now.
Right. And this place was packed.
Yeah, there was like 300 people here.
Yeah.
The fire department got called on us.
Yeah. It's awesome. I have
which was really funny. They kind of falls in line with some of our typical conversations here. I was all the way across the room. I looked over. I see two firefighters just like peeking their heads through the door. By the time I made my way over to the door, they're gone. I asked the people that were working the table at the door what was going on. They're like, oh, they just kind of peeked their head in, looked around, and said, ooh, don't want to mess with you guys.
That's awesome. Now we know what to say. That's great. They I have a time lapse video of that, and it's like from the opposite angle. So you're actually looking out into the school, and you can just see the people like all of a sudden there's like a zillion people everywhere surrounding the mats. Very cool. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I was could not have been more unprepared for how many people showed up. Like we ran out of toilet paper.
Yeah.
I had no plans on like what to do with the amount of cash that was coming through the door and concessions and drinks that we were selling. It was trash. Like I had one little trash can.
That's awesome.
So we'll be more prepared this time.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got some time to prepare for that. I feel like you have people you can like rely on now, like that. Not that you couldn't before, but like that. Right?
I had people to rely on before. It's just I didn't know what I needed help with.
Yeah, it's great. So that'll be a good one. We're definitely looking forward to that. So early March.
Yep.
Date TBD. Yep. Coming soon. All right, what else on the agenda?
You want to talk about the Friday night fights concept?
Yeah. So it's funny because when we were doing the RCS stuff, one of the things that those guys were really big on was just talking about the competitors, right, more than anything else. I think Pat and I, that resonated with us, right? I know it resonated with Big Fight Mike. And I don't even know what started this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about it. As usual, Pat drops like a little nugget of an idea, and I'm like, oh, no.
I think you had said something about how you'd like to get into more commentary opportunities.
That's what started
and I said, every promotion kind of has their own, they just use their own people. So it's hard to break into that unless you're like a BMAC or a J. Regalbuto, like renowned professional.
Right. Who you're going to go into for every competition. But we had joked about like, oh, you should do, I forget what you called it before, Pallone Productions and I was like, oh God, I did a little bit of event work in a side business that I had years ago. And I was like, well, I've always had it in my head that when I go to events, I'm kind of inventorying like, all right, that could happen better. This could happen better. Like some light, whatever. Right. Some good friends who have been in some pretty high end, event production companies and whatnot. So I've always kind of had that, like my eye on that stuff anyway, but I don't really want to take on like a massive production of things, right? But we were talking about, what would be really cool is more of an underground style Friday night fights, Friday night grappling, I don't know, whatever you call it, where you get, and again, this is kind of pie in the sky. We haven't had like a lot of detailed conversation about it, but where you'd get maybe 3 or 4 matches a Friday night, and then I was even thinking about doing something where we added points, right? So if you win your match, you get 2 points. If you win by submission, you get an extra point. At the end of maybe like a 12-week period, you cut off, a certain point limit, and then those guys compete for the next level and the next level. Maybe there's a weekly belt that goes home, and that guy has to come back the next week. I don't know. I haven't figured all that stuff out, but just to make it a little more, again, kind of underground in the sense that like not a big promotion, not a ton of fights. They're not sitting through like 25 fights. We're not like making a huge production out of it, right? But give the guys a chance to compete against each other and with some kind of reward on the line, right? So I think that's a little different than maybe what is happening in some other events. Maybe steal some things from like the PFL. So I don't know. I would like to think more about it and just kind of talk a little bit about how some of the logistics would work. I did talk to Big Fight Mike just to see what his thoughts were when he was putting stuff together. He's pretty tied into grapplers from all over the place at this point. So he gave me some ideas that we could talk about. But I figured I'd bring it up here, right? Something to think about for at some point during the year. If we can get that rolling, that'd be awesome. But I'm curious to hear what feedback like our listeners have about it too.
Yeah, I love the idea. I've thought about it on and off basically since I opened the business, just an opportunity to get some low key matches for people. I think the key ingredient is just going to be building those relationships with at least, one point of contact from all the local academies. And, just, send me a couple of guys.
Right.
And that was said, no big promotion,
right.
No posters and big lead up and all that. Just, handful of guys show up and let's have some matches.
Right. And that's what Mike said too. He was like, I think if you focus more on working with the academies or the schools,
exactly,
they'll be like, all right, we're going to send so-and-so and so-and-so out there. So we can combine that with like some incentive or make it fun for the guys. So it's not just like I got to drive an hour and a half just to have one match. That could add something a little different to it.
Yeah, it'll help build community too.
Yeah. So I think that'd be cool. And we had the in-house tournament, which we didn't talk about a couple weeks back at this point. And I remember when we were talking about it, I was like putting the music together, trying to figure out like what we were doing, like production wise. And you're like, nothing. I just wanted to be like, no frills, just fight. Right? And that would be kind of what it would be, right?
Yeah.
It would be pretty low key. The like my inclination is to like, oh, let's go big, right? But I also don't want to do that. Like I don't want to take the time. So make the content be what's actually big versus like the production side of it. So more to come. I think that's
I think there's something to definitely dig into there. Like I said, it's something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It would be fun.
Because everything lately is, the $1,000 invitational. Travis and we did 3 Radius invitationals, and it was either 8-man, 16-man invitational, cash prize, the whole deal. And those are a blast with the big production and in the theater and all that. But I kind of am back to wanting to just do the no frills underground thing.
Yeah, like Fight Club.
Just make it for the competitors.
Yeah.
Opportunities, because right now you either have to, pay $80 or $100 to go to whatever, the tournaments are, and spend all day, or you have to get invited to one of these invitationals or all the super fights.
Right. And Mike was even saying like, broader weight classes, so you don't have to worry about guys like, not cutting weight or making keep them nice and wide. I would probably even keep like experience levels fairly wide, right? We do submission only, overtime, like, the whole 9 yards. So we actually have a clear winner at the end of the day. So lots to talk about there. Lots of kind of
there's something
work
there.
Out. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So that's Friday Night Fights. What else we got?
That's all I have teed up for the New Year preview.
It's quite a bit.
I mean, that's quite a bit to work on.
Yeah.
See where we go from there.
Anything you are looking forward to? Any matches? Any professional matches coming up that you're looking forward to?
No, I don't have anything that I'm really looking forward to. I know Gordon and Pena 4 is lined up, but that one doesn't really excite me that much.
I could care less. I really could.
Like, I'm not into a lot of the big matches. I like all that mid-level, mid to high level stuff.
Yeah.
Like we were saying about as we were getting ready to go to ADCC, like the super fight wasn't the draw for me. It's just watching all the rest of those guys and gals in the brackets just battling it out to see who's the best.
If you had to pick some people that you're most interested in seeing what they do this year, who would it be?
Man, that's a good question.
I have one person in mind who like really won me over at ADCC, and since then, that's Fionn Davies. Just like,
yeah, I mean,
she's a little badass, right?
She followed up ADCC with a IBJJF no-gi gold.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's huge. I think she was the first European woman to win ADCC, like the first Welsh woman to win an IBJJF.
yeah. So,
And she's got a little spat going on with Gordon right now.
yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, which is pretty funny. So I don't know. Like I find the women's competitors are super interesting. Like Amy Campo and like what she was doing there. I just like super interesting to me. So
Yeah, always watching the 10th Planet guys coming up. There's a good showing at ADCC, but there's a whole new tier of hungry competitors right on their heels coming up that a lot of people don't know about.
yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that Mo was talking about in his live stream about going to a lower weight class for the women. So you can have folks like Grace, right?
Yeah.
Or Danielle Kelly. And like,
Right, because they're all like 105,
Yeah,
110
super light,
pounds,
right.
and the lowest weight class is 135.
right.
Which, 25 pounds at that weight is, like, when you see them line up, it's huge.
Yeah.
Like, Maisa Bastos hopped into ADCC, and she looks so tiny.
Yeah.
And she's she's in the weight class with, like, Grace and Danielle.
Right. So that'd be awesome. Not only are they high level, right? But those.
Yeah, it's definitely needed.
Yeah. So that'd be exciting. I don't know. I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff. Some of the big matches with the big guys, like, I don't know.
I don't really care.
I don't care either. I'd rather watch our guys.
Yep.
Sounds super cheesy, but that's where my head goes with it. So,
Yeah. Any goals for the new year for your own jiu-jitsu?
yeah, absolutely. This year has been tough, man. I've been like hurt, sick. Like this last quarter of the year has been a complete physical washout for me. I haven't even trained since the beginning of October, which sucks. So one, that's one piece, right? Just to be consistent throughout the year. And one of the other things that I realized I got away from in my own jiu-jitsu was, I'm an older guy. I'm one of the older guys here, right? I'm not going to claim to be the most athletic or most gifted, or like there's some things that I don't need to be doing in my jiu-jitsu game, and got away from that. Like just letting guys get on top. I'm like, that's not my game. Like, that's not really, that's good for me to learn how to practice certain things, right? But in general, like when we're sparring, I'm like, I don't really want to do that. Like, get back to those things that I feel like I should be good at doing. So yeah, those are my two. Just get a little more consistency in training at this point. Get healthy, and then be able to get back to my own fundamentals, get those things solid again, and then I can deal with the other stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully we're on the upswing of everyone getting past all this illness.
Yeah.
And we're on the other side of the solstice, so
Yeah.
daylight's getting longer.
Right,
Hopefully
right.
that helps everyone's
Right.
physical and mental states.
Right. I will say that, like, preparing for teaching. So I started teaching the fundamentals class on Mondays and Wednesdays, I don't know, 3 weeks ago at this point. It's not been too long. And after filling in, like, randomly here and there, and just the idea of, like, having to prepare for that class, like, mentally, like, all right, what is it that I actually do when I do this, right? Like, even the body lock, which something I love to do, I had, like, literally think about, like, where do I put my hands here when I do this, right? Where do I stick my head? Like, what are the little things that I do that may be different than what Pat does, right? But gets to, like, so that has certainly helped me. I feel like when we talk about mental reps, sometimes that's definitely helped me in that regard.
Helpful.
So yeah, teaching makes it like helps solidify the idea in your head a little more. So more of that. Just want to be better at that as well. So
Nice.
do you have jiu-jitsu goals?
Maybe nothing specific for my personal jiu-jitsu. I'd also like to be a little more consistent. I'm here every day. I'm teaching every day, but I'm not always getting my own training in every day for various reasons. Some of them legit, some of them probably just excuses. So going to try to minimize the ones that are excuses and get be more consistent with my own training. As far as the academy goes, I want to focus on building more of a young up and coming competition squad. I feel like our primary competitors are some of the more senior guys in the academy, which I guess makes sense because they're the higher ranks. They've been around the most, but I wanted to start building a killer squad of like young white and blue belts like guys that are early and young enough in their jiu-jitsu that they can really make some headway before they're getting past their athletic prime or, busy with kids and family and careers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Life. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yep. And then squeeze in more podcasting, as the last several months has been tough for us. We mentioned at the beginning, but get better at just lining up some guests and scheduling it in and get it done. Yeah.
We banged out a bunch of episodes this year, and we called it season 2. I don't know whether we'll have a season 3 or not when we just keep adding numbers to this. And we banged out some pretty early guests. And then, life started happening in the summer, and we haven't really been back as much as we can. But this is something that, for me, is a good outlet. We get good response. So
I have a whole list of people. I just need to bug them. And even if we just get in here for 30 minutes and just go through whatever's going on, it's still good stuff.
Yeah. So we'll be back when we've got some more information on the upcoming events. Again,
and we got to get the fireside chat going.
Yes, that is another idea that I've had kind of batting around. I've mentioned Pat probably 3 different times at this point. Was like the black belt fireside chat, right? I'd love to have a moderated discussion with like 3 or 4 black belts. Pat and so and so and so and so and so and so, maybe from different styles, different experience levels, academy owners, and just talk about jiu-jitsu, the state of the state, that kind of stuff. I think it'd be interesting to do. So we've got to find a location to that. I'm pretty confident we can get the people. It's just the location.
I look forward to making that happen.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. So
awesome. Anything else? It's about time to go teach class.
That's all I got. Cool. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for rolling.
Take care.